And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College Tornado athletics. Have an exciting show on deck for you tonight. We're going to be talking a lot of cycling, catching up with the multiple national champion Brevard College cycling program, and also talking some volleyball later in the show as well. But really happy you're able to join us for this edition of Tornado Talk. But before we get going, do want to thank our sponsors of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Appreciate their support. Arby's, BSN Sports, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Jets Pizza, Parde Healthcare, Pepsi, Sully Steamers, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Appreciate their support of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. And a special shout out to Parde Sports Medicine, just tremendous partners with Brevard College. This partnership started at the beginning of this academic year and really helping behind the scenes quite a bit with the athletic training side and the overall health and well-being of our student athletes here at Brevard College. Big thanks to Parde. Well, let's catch you up around the world of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Men's basketball in full swing. They will be at Warren Wilson. That's tomorrow, 7 p.m., just up the road in Swannanoa, North Carolina, if you want to make the trip over there as the Tornadoes take on Warren Wilson. These two teams met earlier this season. It was a tight game that Warren Wilson took from the Tornadoes, but the Tornadoes looking to even the score tomorrow night in Swannanoa. Then the next home game for the Tornadoes men's basketball team versus Oglethorpe. That's on Monday, December the 5th, 7 p.m. at the Bosch. Hope to see you there. Women's basketball has been on a roll. 3 straight wins for the Tornadoes on the women's side. And next up for the Tornadoes women's basketball team, a trip to Mount Berry, Georgia at Berry. That's 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then the next home game for the Tornadoes, that's this Saturday at 2 p.m. versus Salem at the Bosch. 3 football student athletes named Academic All-District, also 3 volleyball student athletes named to the Academic All-District team. We'll talk about them a little later in the program. Cyclocross National Championships are coming up in Hartford, Connecticut. And with that, we're going to bring in our first guest of the evening as joining the program now, head cycling coach Brad Perley. Coach Perley, thanks for joining the program.
Hey, thanks, Phil.
Yeah, great to have you on here. It's an interesting time of year, for your team and the BC cycling program. Kind of wrapped up the cyclocross regular season, now preparing for nationals in Hartford, Connecticut. We'll talk about mountain biking quite a bit, but first, can you catch us up where we're at on the cyclocross side of things?
Yeah, we are about a little over a week out right now from the Collegiate Cyclocross National Championships up in Hartford, Connecticut. So up until this point, post-mountain bike nationals, post-mountain bike season, we've been racing some regional cyclocross races. Pretty much most of them have been in North Carolina, some collegiate races, some open category races, just to get students familiar with cross racing again, get used to the bikes, get equipment dialed, get fitness honed in for nationals, because it's quite a bit different, of course, than the mountain bike effort that they're used to in the fall. So yeah, we're really excited that we have we have some lofty goals, certainly looking ahead to nationals. The biggest obstacle right now is just trying to get students healthy and feeling good. Like most communities right now, we've been slammed with the flu and a bunch of other things. We also, on top of that, have a handful of students that have gotten injured too. So the name of the game for us right now is getting healthy. So if we're able to roll into Connecticut with a team that is, at least for the most part, healthy, then that's going to be kind of the first win, I think, of the weekend for us. But yeah, it's been very busy, certainly. And most cyclocross weekends are back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. So while they're short races, they are really very taxing for the athletes. So it's a big focus has been on recovery and of course the training, to prepare for those super sharp efforts they're gonna see in about a week.
And, those of us who've been around the program and here at Brevard College might take it for granted that everyone knows, the term cyclocross and about that sport. For those who might not know much about cyclocross, can you kind of explain it in layman's terms for us?
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, it's the most spectator-friendly discipline that we compete in. They're generally events that are held in county parks, lots of field type environments, sometimes hilly, sometimes flat, sometimes extremely muddy, snowy, you name it. Basically, the time of the year we're competing, it's going to be cold, usually going to be muddy, usually snowy, you never know, icy. But we kind of always compare it a little bit to the steeplechase in track and field, whereas you have students that are, it is a bike race, of course. So you have the traditional start, where you start on your bike. It's about 45 to 60 minutes long generally, but most courses are going to have at least one, if not two or three dismount sections, which are going to be, they could be a set of man-made wooden barriers the students have to dismount and run over. It could be a super steep hill that they need to dismount and run up with a bike on their shoulder. A number of things really, but you have to be a very versatile and adaptive bike racer, because every course you're going to face is going to be extremely different. But in that way, it's really fun. It's really entertaining. And like I said, for the most part, it's going to be very, very spectator friendly. So while it's extremely high intensity for the athletes racing, it's very, very fun to watch because it's high speed. There are going to be some crashes. There are going to be all sorts of craziness out there. And that's kind of that's the name of the game too, is that the ones that are usually the most successful in that discipline can roll with the punches and know that bikes aren't going to work. Your hands and feet aren't going to work because they're going to go numb when you're too cold and you can't use them. All these things while you're trying to, keep your heart rate at below, 200 beats per minute or something like that. So yeah, it's very different, I think, than what most people would think of when they think of traditional bike racing. But in that way, it's some of the most entertaining.
And every year, you mentioned the Tornadoes participating in NCCX, a great partner with Brevard College Tornado Cycling. But, they promote and host events throughout the state of North Carolina in the cyclocross arena. And, a big event, the North Carolina Grand Prix annually at Jackson Park in Hendersonville. So, I know, the team headed down there this past week, but, I'd love for you to tell us even more about, NCCX and, there's opportunities for fans here to catch this sport once a year.
Yeah. And I know that's always one of the toughest things is, occasionally we will host races, of course, at home or on campus. But most of the racing we do, of course, is on the road. It's tough for locals to go and see easily. For cyclocross, it's probably been 5-6 years now that we've hosted our home, we call it, collegiate cyclocross races in conjunction with that much larger event over in Hendersonville. So it's, roughly 30 minutes away, as you know. But that is an opportunity for people to come out and to watch some somewhat local bike racing and see our student athletes go and compete there. Unfortunately, this year, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, we had a lot of students that were sick and not able to compete that weekend. So on the numbers side, we're pretty low, but we still had some really, really good performances from the students that were racing. Some of the students were focused on the collegiate category races. Others were focused on the UCI elite category races. And so we had to kind of a split there. But yeah, and it's something that we hope to continue into the future. But that series and that promoter and the folks involved in those races are really why cyclocross is still alive in our area of the country.
Now, speaking of cyclocross, some exciting news came across the wire this weekend. Brevard College alum Tyler Clark, recent alum, class of 2022, wins the Canadian Cyclocross National Championship in the elite category. Incredible showing there from Tyler Clark. I'd love to hear your comments on it, Coach.
Yeah. We were really, really thrilled to see that. Obviously, I mean, it goes without saying. I was not surprised to see that. Obviously, we've gotten to know Tyler very well, and I know what he's capable of, certainly. But yeah, that seemed like was very well deserved, certainly. So we're extremely proud of him. Me, the team, everyone I know at BC, and we also had a number of other students, both alumni, current students, and future recruit prospects that were all racing in that event too up in Canada. So it was really neat to follow along. I know that we had Tyler Orschel was in that race. He was fourth. Owen Clark was third in his race, and a number of others. I'm going to certainly can't rattle them off right away, but that's winning an elite national title is people try their entire careers to achieve that. And Tyler, 1 year out of school, like once again proving that you can go to college and continue to progress, to say the least, in terms of building a future towards being a professional bike racer. Yeah, so extremely excited, extremely proud of Tyler.
Awesome. Big congratulations to Tyler and the entire program on that. Well, we do want to talk some mountain biking as well. We haven't had the chance to catch up with you since a trip to Durango, Colorado earlier this fall. Another third place finish for Brevard College at the USA Cycling Collegiate Mountain Bike National Championships. Once again, the highest finishing school in the eastern half of the United States at the National. So just, tremendous stuff once again from the Tornadoes. Also, Cole Punchard, who's going to be a guest on the program a little later, winning an individual Omnium national championship. Second straight year a Tornado has done that. You mentioned Tyler Orschel. He did it the year prior, but just sensational stuff once again at Durango, Colorado, which is a challenge for teams coming from the East Coast.
No, it was, I think, it's easy for folks to sort of take it for granted or kind of make it the expectation that this, our students are going to be able to land close to the podium, on the podium, on top of the podium. Certainly every year has its own challenges. This year, I would argue we had probably some more challenges potentially than we've ever faced in terms of injuries and illness and you name it, all that. But yeah, I'm extremely proud of the way the team fought and pulled through to be able to go out there and compete. Again, we're talking 9,000, 10,000 plus feet elevation, competing against these programs that have the opportunity to live there and train at that elevation. It's not everything, but that certainly is a huge component to having a successful race out there. Is being acclimated to that altitude, and it's not something we can really do here. But yeah, like you mentioned, Cole, of course, had a fantastic weekend. We had a lot of students that had some standout performances and really pushed themselves to the limit out there. And that's all we can ask. That's all I ask of our students, is that, I want them to go and give it their all, and certainly have fun while doing it. But it's an extremely demanding and difficult weekend for them all. I mean, a lot of them are racing every event or close to every event throughout those 4 days. And it is extremely taxing on them to be able to do that. And it's also a huge ask that I have. So, and I understand that as well. So, things really went as well as they could have, I think. So many things can go wrong in one person's individual single bike race if you're a bike racer, but to multiply that by 13 students racing in 4 different races, or 5 if you include the team relay, there's a lot of luck involved too. Usually it's bad luck. So we're able to avoid a lot of the big catastrophic bike mechanicals, big crashes for the most part, and things like that. So, yes, we had a really good battle. They're fighting, of course, always. We go there, we want to fight for the win. We're hoping that, I think a lot of students, including myself, as the coach, we've already turned, in terms of mountain bike attention, already turned our attention to next fall. And word is that we're going to be East Coast national event. So it's going to be a lot different, I think. So, but yeah, no, couldn't be more proud of the way that they fought through. And most of them are racing a lot of times out of their comfort zone, out of their element. And the reason is because they want to support the team, do the best they can to help their team. And that's something that is pretty unique to collegiate cycling, and pretty unique to our team too. So yeah, it was a really fun and tiring weekend, but it feels like a long time ago now. But yeah, very proud of how they did.
Outstanding. Just a few more of those results. Once again, the Tornadoes third place nationally in the varsity team omnium. That's, best overall team when you combine all the results. Cole Punchard, individual men's varsity national champion. Owen Clark finishes third in the individual omnium for the best overall rider. I had 5 riders in the varsity cross country on the men's side, 3 on the women. Short track cross country, Owen Clark with a podium there, a third place finish. Cameron Mader with a third place varsity men's downhill podium run as well. And the results just go on and on. You can find them all on bctornadoes.com. But Coach, we've talked before as far as being able to sprinkle it through all these different disciplines, these different events, and across both the men's and women's side. That's what it takes.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think our team, you've seen, you were at nationals last year, Phil, but you've seen that it's hard to explain, I think, to some folks that a lot of these programs are much, much larger than ours is here. And what that translates to in order to be competitive at any level, really, never mind trying to be on the podium or fight for wins, is we rely on our riders to be all-rounders, really. Many programs are going to go with riders specialized in certain disciplines, certain events. So they're going, these student athletes are going and they're saying, hey, my race is this day. I'm going to prepare the training the day before, the day of, recovery after, get ready for maybe one more event at the weekend, which is fantastic. And it works really well generally, of course, for performance. But for our students, most of them are racing pretty much everything because our roster is smaller. Our total starting roster at nationals, mountain bike nationals, like you mentioned, is 12 or 13. I can't remember at the top of my head, but so which means that we don't have 20 plus, we don't have 24. So it's up to our students to do the best they can and be, as we talk about it all the time at those events, is use every minute of every day wisely, whether it be sleeping, recovery, nutrition. All of it is super, super important. It's definitely a much more strenuous weekend for our students in that regard, but it is also the opportunity for a lot of them to have experiences they're only going to ever have when they're in school here. And it's something, those weekends, they certainly going to remember for the rest of their lives. And that's a huge aspect of it too. It's really important. But yeah, our team, it's kind of the name of the game, and it's kind of known now. Like, yeah, most of our riders, we just show up with a smaller crew, but they're going to do everything for the most part. For better or for worse, that's the approach. And fortunately, I'm very grateful we have students that are open to that and motivated, and they understand the bigger picture. It's not just about one person, one race. It's about the whole team. The goal is always, all right, how do we place the highest as the team? That's always the goal, and it's always going to be the goal for sure.
Outstanding. Head cycling coach Brad Perley, congrats again on that great run at the Mountain Bike National Championships, and best of luck heading into the Cyclocross National Championships. If we can have you hold on just 1 or 2 moments further, we're going to invite in the cycling student athlete guests who we have with us this evening on Tornado Talk. Is entering the building here. We have Cole Punchard, Phillip Ford, also Kelly Lawson. Coach, before we let you go, can you help introduce these 3 to NATO Nation?
Yeah, well, you mentioned Cole already a little bit, just mentioning, highlighting his performance at Mountain Bike Nationals. But so Cole and then Phil and Kelly, they all were racing mountain bikes through the entire season. All 3 of them were extremely influential in the mountain bike nationals result overall, but also individually in their own races. And then these 3 as well have been racing pretty consistently throughout the cyclocross season as well. Cross season for us is extremely short. Once mountain bike is done, I think we ended up with 3 full weekends or so of cross racing this year. But yeah, and they're all 3 are going to be racing for us in Hartford at nationals too. So 3 great examples of what it means to be student athlete at Brevard, racing at a very high level. All 3 of them have some very high ambitions and goals on the bike, as well as, graduating and all that, of course, I would hope at least. They're 3 great examples to what it means to be Brevard College cycling student.
Outstanding. Well, appreciate your time, Coach Perley. Best of luck up there in Connecticut for the Cyclocross Nationals. We'll be following every step of the way. Thanks again for joining the show.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, there he goes, head coach Brad Perley. And as coach helped us introduce in that upper right corner, Cole Punchard. Cole, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You?
Excellent, thank you. And also with us, Philip Ford in that bottom right corner. Phil, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great as well.
Outstanding. And making her Tornado Talk debut, Kelly Lawson. Kelly, thanks for joining the show this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you guys. I love talking cycling. One, because you guys are such a part of like the fabric of this part of the country, this college experience and so forth. And, you know, part of the mission is always educating our viewers and listeners about your sport. Because let's face it, like, you know, not everybody knows exactly what a cyclocross race is. So let's put that as part of our goal this evening, you know, to kind of educate folks a little bit too. But let's start on the subject of cyclocross because you guys are in the middle of that season. Cole, I'll let you kick things off. You know, what do you think makes cyclocross appealing, both for you as a racer, but also, you know, for fans who might come out and check it out?
One thing I'd say is that it's a super short lap, like around 8-minute lap. So the spectators can see the riders many times throughout the race. And it's in like usually in a field or whatever. So you can see the riders the whole time. And it's a shorter race, not like mountain biking cross country. It's usually around 50 minutes. So it's like an all-out sprint, and it's creates like a very exciting environment.
Yeah, no doubt. And Philip Ford, the sophomore from Fort Mill, South Carolina. Philip, second place finish in men's collegiate A, you know, just a couple weeks ago at the North Carolina Cyclocross Grand Prix. That's kind of our home field event of sorts, but a big race for yourself. Can you tell us how that kind of went down, what that course was like at Jackson Park, and your race personally?
It was definitely like the most fun cyclocross race I've done so far this year. And it kind of started out with a not so great start, and I just had to work my way up through the whole race. I got kind of lucky. I didn't get caught on any crashes, and I was able to like stay upright, and I didn't make many mistakes or any mistakes at all. And then I was able just to ride by myself basically the whole race to second place.
Outstanding. And can you tell us a little more about sort of the strategy of taking on a cyclocross race like that, Philip? Like, when do you decide to shoulder the bike, you know, and carry the bike through some obstacles versus, you know, continuing to pedal through, or, you know, decisions like that kind of on the fly? Do you map it out before the race and so forth?
Oh, those decisions are definitely mapped out before the race, but there's always those certain times when like somebody messes up in front of you, or like something on your bike goes wrong right away, and then you kind of just have to think super quick. And if you want to stay on the bike, or if you just want to like slow down a little bit or shift a few gears, those are like kind of on the bike during the race. That's about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also with us, Kelly Lawson, the freshman from Ontario. And Kelly, second place results in the pro race at the NCCX Midland and also in Davidson. Yeah, you had a great run that weekend. You guys had back-to-back races over there in Midland and Davidson, North Carolina. Tell us a little bit about your cyclocross background, Kelly. Is it something you've raced before, or is this experience at Brevard College your first foray in it? And what are your feelings about this unusual discipline?
It's definitely a crazy sport. I think I started cyclocross in 2017 in Ontario, just provincially first. I think we've had nationals that are like, I think an hour away from my house. So I did those, I think 2019 and 2018. So it being close, I just moved up to the national level. So I've definitely raced it before. Coming here, it's definitely been different though. We've been racing the NCCX, like North Carolina State their kind of organization. So in Ontario, we have Ontario Cup, like provincial races, but here I think there's way more women, which is great to see, but definitely still lots of competition.
Outstanding. And great to see you racing with these kind of results. Great to see. Cole, do you want to rewind a little bit to just at the start of this semester? Yourself and also Owen Clark represented Canada all the way in France for the mountain bike world championships. Tell us a little bit about that experience. What was that like, this year in those world championships, and coming all the way from Brevard College or returning to Brevard College after that kind of experience has got to be meaningful.
Yeah. Anytime you get the opportunity to go to a world championships, it's super awesome. Like, that's the biggest race in the world pretty much for cross country mountain biking. So traveling over to Europe is a really big opportunity. Last year, going back, was my first time going to Worlds as a junior, with Owen as well. And then this year we got to travel over to France for our first year in the under 23 category. And yeah, it was super awesome. Unfortunately, I got food poisoning a couple days before, but Owen had a great race, so it was awesome.
Well, appreciate you being there, representing your country of Canada, of course, but also, representing Brevard College, just great ambassadors, over there, and, talking to your fellow racers and so forth. Philip Ford, let's reflect a little bit on this trip to Durango, Colorado, where the Tornadoes finished third once again in the country. A great result for the team, highest finishing school on the eastern half of the United States, and part of that squad once again. Tell us about this year's trip to Durango. What were the conditions like? How the team feel once it was all said and done?
Well, it was definitely kind of a slow start getting there because we had a long drive over there, probably about 25 hours in the car, split it between like 3 days. And then right as we got there, everybody was kind of sick, but it was still like a super cool. I've never seen Colorado in the fall like that with all the yellow leaves. And that was like, it was the coolest things I've seen. And then it was cool to like pre-ride the course with everybody, see, like, know how they felt about it. And then I didn't race, but it was cool to listen to all the guys talk about the downhill course and see some of the videos they took. It's just like, it's kind of cool to be around everybody for sure.
Yeah, outstanding. A team effort all the way around. And Kelly, your first collegiate national championships. It's really fascinating, to me, getting these colleges from all across the country to meet in the mountain bike national championships. Tell us about your experience and, being part of that collegiate atmosphere.
Yeah, it's been great. Like, coming from Canada, we don't have anything at this level or even close to this. This has been super cool with all the schools, and there's so many around North Carolina. So we've been doing even like the local races, not even nationals. There's been so many teams, so much competition. It's been crazy. Never seen anything like it.
And, one big result, of course, Cole Punchard, you end up winning the individual Omnium National Championship at that mountain bike national champs. Tell us about what it took to win that individual Omnium National Championship. For folks who don't know, it's, your combined score from all the events. Can you, take us through sort of that experience and, what you think the key was for you winning that overall title?
Yeah. So unfortunately last year I had a broken wrist, so I had to skip out on national championships. But this year I was healthy, so I was super excited coming into that week. And yeah, like it was pretty stressful 4 days of just straight like switching bikes. You'd be on the cross country bike for practice and then switch to the trail bike for dual slalom practice. Like DH like practice, and then you have all the races, so it's pretty stressful. I'd say one of the main things that I tried to take advantage of was just my recovery each night, making sure I had enough sleep to feel energized for the next day, because each day was jam-packed, riding multiple bikes in different categories like each day, so it was very busy. But in the end, I was super happy to come home with the jersey for my first nationals.
Yeah, but big time congratulations there. We mentioned it with your coach, back-to-back years, with Tyler Orschel winning that title last year. And, Tornado's starting to rack up a lot of those Stars and Stripes jerseys, these past few seasons. And, you also had your buddy Owen Clark on the podium there with you for the individual omni. So on behalf of all of us at Brevard College, big time congratulations, Cole. Well, before we let you go, do want to kind of take things from the cyclocross track or the mountain bike trails back over here to Brevard College and into the classroom a little bit. Would love to know what each of you is focused on. Philip, let's start with you. Have you selected a major? What are you working on academically?
I'm a health science major. So I want to do these 4 years, get the health science degree, and then go on to dental school later on.
Outstanding. And Kelly Lawson also here with us, freshman here at Brevard College. Don't expect you to have all the answers figured out already, but have you selected a major? And if not, are you leaning towards something?
I did just declare a major, so I'm a business major, but still not 100% sure what I want to do.
Very good. And same question for you, Cole. Tell us about your studies.
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore, and currently my major is in business.
Very good. Well, before we let you go, we do want to give all our student athlete guests the opportunity for any thank yous, shout outs, anybody you just want to give a little hat tip to. The floor is going to be each of yours in just a moment here, and we'll start with Philip Ford. Any thank yous or shout outs for us?
Well, I just definitely want to thank my parents. I mean, I really couldn't have even come to school if it wasn't for them, or even raced a bike in general either.
Very good. Well done. And Kelly Lawson, same opportunity for you. Thank yous or shout outs?
I'd also like to thank my parents, but also our coach, Brad. He's been working really hard this season, getting everything organized with us. I know it's not an easy job, so thanks to him.
Very good. And Cole Punchard, the individual Omnia national champion for the mountain bike side of things, and sophomore from Huntsville, Ontario. Thank yous or shout outs, Cole?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my parents as well for getting me into mountain biking, and I'd like to thank my community back home, like the mountain biking program that they have built there. Getting more people on bikes back in Huntsville is pretty amazing. And then also, like, everyone on the team this year has been super supportive at all the races, like cheering on teammates when other people are racing. So, yeah, I'd like to thank everyone on the team as well.
All right. Great stuff with Philip Ford, Kelly Lawson, and Cole Punchard. Hey, best of luck with that trip up to Hartford, Connecticut for the Cyclocross National Championships. Can't wait to see how you all and the rest of the Tornado squad performs. And great job this evening on Tornado Talk. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, there they go. And with that, we're going to switch gears fairly quickly here and head from the mountain bike trails and the cyclocross tracks to the Boshamer Gymnasium and home of Brevard College volleyball, amongst other sports. And with us now, head volleyball coach Abbie Parde. Coach Parde, thanks for joining the program.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Phil.
Well, Coach, since we talked to you last, there was some news came across everyone's desk that you were elevated from interim head volleyball coach to head volleyball coach. Permanent position now, here at Brevard College. Congratulations on that on behalf of, all of us here on campus and in NATO Nation. But tell us from your standpoint, what that felt like, and also, how meaningful that is for you now to know moving forward with this program, that you're the head coach and it's your show.
Yeah, obviously very exciting. I'm incredibly grateful to everybody at Brevard for this opportunity. But, moving forward, it's really nice to know I can make plans now in terms of recruiting and traveling and what our schedule looks like. And it's really, it's nice to settle in and hopefully be here for a long time. And I get to see all of these players then go all the way through the program. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
For those who might not have had seen an earlier program here on Tornado Talk with you, Coach, let's talk a little bit more about your background in volleyball and so forth. Nebraska roots, and then coming here to the mountains of Western North Carolina and getting things going here at Brevard. But kind of, tell us your journey in volleyball, beginning as a player, of course, and then onto the coaching ranks.
Yeah, so obviously I played all through grade school and high school and all of that. And then I started coaching high school when I was in college. So I got into the coaching scene a little bit earlier than most do, which is nice coming up now because I'm a little young for my position, but I'm really grateful for it. So I was a high school coach for a couple years for a division or a Class B school in Nebraska. And then I moved to a GA at Nebraska Wesleyan, which is a Division III program. I was a GA for a year, and then I got elevated to assistant coach. So I did that for 2 years, and then and then I started looking for jobs and reached out to Brevard. And fortunately, Anna's also from Nebraska as well, so she kind of knew some of my references, and it just worked out really well, and ended up down here. And then Coach Grant, took another position, and I became interim this summer. So a lot of changes really quickly, but I'm really grateful for all of them.
Yeah, you mentioned Coach Anna Grant and her Nebraska roots as well. Folks might not realize how big the sport of volleyball is in Nebraska. I mean, it's a big deal. So you're coming from, a place where this sport is hyper competitive. There's big fan support and so forth. Can you educate us a little bit on just what it's like, volleyball in Nebraska, and maybe some of those, qualities that you're taking from there and bringing now to Brevard College?
Yeah, so most people, when they think about Nebraska volleyball, they think of the Huskers. Right now they're ranked, I believe, 7th in the country. They were 1 at one point during the season. They were runners up last year. So that's something I just grew up with. I had season tickets my whole life, so I've just always been watching them. And then Creighton Volleyball is in Omaha, and they're also, really talented as well. I believe they're a top 25 team. And then there's also 3 Division II schools who, excel. They always make the NCAA tournament out of Nebraska. And then I believe there's 4 to 5 NAIA programs in Nebraska as well that usually make, pretty high up in their postseason tournament too. So it's obviously a very big thing. But yeah, I take a lot of what I've learned from the coaches there out here. And I think that's something that, I'm really grateful for, because the sport is kind of more advanced, I would say, in the Midwest. And so I get to bring all of that knowledge here. I usually work camps in the summer with a lot of those Division I coaches, and I like to steal all of their ideas. So yeah, I'm bringing that here.
Very good. Well, another piece of news that just came across the wire this past week, 2022 academic all-district teams announced. This is a high honor. This is selected by the College Sports Communicators, formerly known as COSIDA. The all-district performers head to the academic All-American ballot. That's the big one, where you get enshrined and everything as an academic All-American performer. And 3 Tornadoes, Bailey Lance, Caitlin Presley, and Grace Pukas, the senior Grace, able to earn that honor. That had to make you proud, Coach, to see that announcement.
Yeah, I mean, these girls obviously work incredibly hard in the gym, but just as hard in the classroom. And it's really, something we put a lot of emphasis on is, you're a student athlete, so you're a student first, but it is really, it's exceptional to watch them get these awards because it's very deserving.
Yeah, no doubt. And you mentioned working hard in the gym, and the Tornadoes came on big late in the season. Winners of 3 of the last 5 matches. So really kind of, putting the pedal to the metal there late. The revenge tour, as you guys were labeling it. And then a USA South Conference sweep over North Carolina Wesleyan and Methodist in the season finale. Just a great finish to the season, Coach. That had to feel good, for the program kind of catapulting itself forward, and just some quality volleyball down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it created a lot of momentum for what we're looking to do next year, and especially for the spring season when we come back and train for a couple weeks. I think the players are just going to remember what those last 2 weeks felt like, and hopefully we bring that culture with us next fall, and that's something that we're really going to work towards. But this season there's a lot of ups and downs, but it was really cool to see it come full circle those last 2 weekends with those wins.
Yeah, no doubt. And coach, you mentioned sort of, culturally and moving forward. Can you tell us a little bit about, what your objectives are and culture wise, and also, maybe even, as far as style of play, what we can expect from a team and the Tornadoes volleyball team moving forward?
Yeah, so one thing we're really working on right now, especially Coach Brittany Franks and I, is just our recruiting process. So we're trying to get in a little bit more depth into our bench, so we have more competitive practices, and then all of that obviously translates into games. So we want to create just overall faster play. So serve and pass is something I've been taking from Nebraska. So you have to serve aggressive, get the other teams out of system, and then if we can control our pass, our game gets a lot easier. So we're really focusing on those first two contacts, and then from there, speeding up our offense, beating blocks on the other side. I would love to get some more height into our program, but I'm not saying we don't have it now. But when you don't have a lot of height, you do just have to play faster volleyball, so you beat blocks on the other side. So that's something we're working on. We run fast practices, so translating that to game is also something we're going to work on as well.
And recruiting always a priority for you coaches here at Brevard College. And, this time of year, I'd imagine, that's a big part of the priority for the coaching staff. If there happens to be a high school, family maybe checking out this program and wondering about Brevard College, tell us a little bit about, what you're talking to recruits about and what makes Brevard College appealing, both as an institution, but also as a volleyball program.
Yeah, I think as an institution, has a great location. There's a lot of things to do in the area. Additionally, I think the faculty and staff are phenomenal here. And I think the relationships that people build are something that it's not everywhere. And I think I can say that from experience. It's definitely like a community, family-based area. And then in terms of volleyball, when we're talking to recruits, we sell them on what we're aiming for our culture to be. So, I want some talent, but I also look at really great humans and bringing in people with character and, people who are going to carry themselves high, and to, carry a program with high standards. So yeah, really work on bringing kids in that are going to fit into the girls that we already have, because I think our program is filled with phenomenal players now. And then just bringing in players who are just going to elevate us a little bit more.
Very good. Head volleyball coach Abbie Parde, congratulations once again, on this latest appointment, being elevated from interim coach to head volleyball coach. And, it's official now. So congratulations on behalf of all of us at NATO Nation. Before we let you go, though, Coach, usually I reserve these opportunities for the student athletes, but since you just got this, promotion and, this is official now, I do want to give you the opportunity. Thank yous, shout outs, whoever you want to thank. The floor is yours, Coach.
Oh man, I've got a list that goes on forever when it comes to people I need to thank for this. But first one that comes to my mind is my club coach throughout high school. I had him for 5 years, DC. He taught me everything ins and outs when it comes to the technical side of volleyball. So, I'm going to forever be grateful for him to that. And then when I was coaching high school, I was working under head coach Terry New Year, and she has created what a culture should look like. And she manages to do it at a high school program, and not only at what she has now would be what a college program would have. So I take a lot of her techniques when it comes to, team bonding, culture, things like that. I steal a lot of her ideas. And she's also, taught some fantastic athletes that are now on the USA team, who play at Nebraska. So it's cool to learn from her. And then of course my family. I would not be here without their support. I mean, I moved halfway across the country and most of my family's still there. So I'm just grateful that they can make the trip out here and support me every now and then. And I get to go back home, but I'm always grateful for them.
Very good. Well, we're grateful for you as well, Coach Parde, and congrats once again. Thanks for making some time for us also here on Tornado Talk. We'll see you down the road.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Thanks for having me.
All right, there she goes, head volleyball coach Abbie Parde, and that'll wrap up another edition of Tornado Talk. Really appreciate all of our guests who joined us this evening. You just got to know a little further there, Coach Abbie Parde from the volleyball program. Also, we had Coach Brad Perley from the cycling program, and 3 outstanding cycling student athletes: Phillip Ford, Kelly Lawson, and Cole Punchard. Great to catch up with that cycling program as they get ready for the national championships in cyclocross. Well, want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Tornado Talk. Men's and women's basketball in action on the road tomorrow. Next home games, women's basketball versus William Peace. That's on Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Bosch. Also, men's basketball versus Warren Wilson at Swannanoa, North Carolina. If you're in the area, you want to check that one out. And then also men's basketball versus Oglethorpe at the Bosch on Monday night, 1 week from tonight. So there won't be a Tornado Talk next week because we'll be broadcasting the men's basketball game, but hope you're able to either check it out here at the Bosch on Monday the 5th, or check it out on the YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell so you get all of the notifications of when Brevard College Tornado Athletics goes live on YouTube. One correction, the women's basketball game on Saturday, this Saturday, 2 p.m., USA South Conference action versus Salem. So hope you can be there for that one. That's Saturday, December 3rd. And then the William Peace game is Saturday, December the 10th at 2 p.m. at the Bosch. So some opportunities to see some more men's and women's basketball before we head towards the new year. Well, thank you once again for joining us for this evening of Tornado Talk. Special thanks also to our producer, Roya Tomasabi. And thank you once again, NATO Nation. We'll see you down the road. Go Tornadoes.